And joining us now to discuss is former EPA transition team member under the Trump administration, Steve Milloy. Steve, great to have you join us today. What are your thoughts on this alternate plan?
Well, thanks for having me, Heather. Well, unfortunately, Leader McCarthy, I think, is clueless when it comes to climate. And I think we've got to start with what John Kerry said yesterday. John Kerry said that even if the United States goes to zero emissions tomorrow and is joined by China at zero emissions tomorrow, the climate problem does not go away. This afternoon, John Kerry said that even if the world goes to zero emissions, the climate problem does not go away. Leader McCarthy's plan, which is just sort of like Joe Biden's, climate plan but light, is not going to accomplish anything. It's going to waste tax dollars. It just, further feeds this, climate hysteria narrative, which has no place in public policy.
So, Steve, what do you think should be done?
I think we need to move on. There's really we have no reason to spend trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars on climate. Leader McCarthy wants to do things like, plant trees, billions, if not trillions of trees. He wants to do carbon capture and sequestration. All these things cost money, but don't do anything. Planting trees, actually, if you follow climate science, planting trees actually has a warming effect. So I'm not quite sure what he's trying to accomplish. Carbon capture just spends money for no reason.
Steve, we'd like to get your take on this controversial statement by Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as well, that she made this in regards to race and climate change. Listen.
We must recognize in legislation that the trampling of indigenous rights is a cause of climate change. The trampling of racial justice is a cause of climate change because we are allowing people and we are allowing ourselves to we are allowing folks to deny ourselves human rights and deny people the right to health care, the right to housing and education.
What do you think about that, her statement? Steve?
It's like saying child care is infrastructure. There's just no basis in reality. I don't even understand what she's trying to say. The climate theory is that, smokestack emissions and tailpipe emissions are warming the climate. What that has to do with indigenous people, I don't know.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are in the same boat there.
No, look, as far as indigenous people, the wealthier we are, the better off everybody is, even indigenous people. So, I know it's easy to rave about climate, and it's, in this climate, it's easy to rave about race and, minority populations, but really it has nothing to do with the issue.
Yeah, I think her point was that companies that were out for profit only gave preference to people who were white, and consequently other people were discriminated. I think that was her rationale. As I listened to it. I'm not defending it. I'm just trying to explain it.
Yeah, I mean, if that's her message, it doesn't really come through. Look, the oil industry is very diverse. The coal industry was diverse. These high-paying fossil fuel jobs, which make our lives possible, help everybody, regardless of your race, creed, or color. So, trying to racialize the climate, and I know they have. They have this whole concept of environmental justice, environmental racism, climate justice. This is all nonsense. This is all just trying to surf, whatever, the race controversy. And it's got nothing to do with climate. It's got nothing to do with our economy. It's not going to help anybody. We need to maintain, Republicans especially, like Leader McCarthy's, effort to stray into climate is ridiculous. We've got to limit federal spending. We've got to get our economy going. We've got to end these lockdowns and move on from this, terrible spot that we're in right now. Spending trillions of dollars on climate, as John Kerry has admitted, is not going to accomplish anything. So why should we burden taxpayers, debase our currency for no reason?
Do you think it's important to, show people, though, that Republicans do care about the climate, that it's not, a misnomer to say that Republicans don't care about the earth and the world and the climate and where we'll be 10 years from now?
Look, climate is a hoax. John Kerry essentially admitted that twice, yesterday and today. There's nothing we're going to do that's going to affect climate. Republicans need to worry about serious issues. Democrats don't harp on climate because they're worried about the climate or the environment. They see it as an issue for gaining control over the economy. Joe Biden wants to spend $2.6 trillion on his infrastructure, much of which goes on climate. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wants, she's got a Thrive Act, which would cost $1 trillion a year. Then there's this Green New Deal, which would be, $100 trillion. Now, today, Joe Biden promised to do half the Green New Deal by 2030. That's $50 trillion. This is just about spending us into oblivion and the government controlling our economy. John Kerry admitted we're not going to do anything on climate by cutting emissions.
Yeah, and everything you said applies even for folks that do believe that there is climate change of some kind. So, Steve Milloy, thank you very much.